Hi, this is Ryan Houchin with Renewal by Andersen of San Antonio, and we got our hands on some new technology here that we're going to be using for our in-home consultations, and we just wanted to share that with you, talk about some of the details and really some of the specifics of a 2006 builder grade aluminum frame window. We've got about an 1/8 inch spacer in here, dual pane glass. There's a coating on here, you can tell because of the coloration, but we're not really sure what kind of low E coating. So we're going to take a look at this window. It's made by Champion. You can see right on the lock here that it says Champion. I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the video, but it's a Champion aluminum frame window. And we're going to take a look at, as a comparison, the Renewal by Andersen replacement window. Now this window has the Smart Sun Glass technology. It is the Fibrex composite frame. We got a 1/2 inch spacer in between here. And this is Smart Sun Glass. It's not tempered, it's not laminated, it's just the Smart Sun Glass package. So what we're going to do today is use this tool, the technology that I mentioned earlier from EDTM. They're based out of Toledo, Ohio, and really they're the world leader in glass, window, and film testing technology. So we're real excited to have this this window energy profile here. It's model number WP4500. And just simply enough here before we get into it, this tool sends infrared beams here that pass through the glass, which will be in between this area here. And what we're looking to measure today is the UV percentage, the visible light transmittance in a percentage form, the infrared heat that's passing through the glass, and then our solar heat gain coefficient. So this little tool is going to help us do that, and as we do that in the home, really help our prospective clients understand what they have in the wall now and how is that performing for them versus what they could potentially have with the technology and the performance of the Renewal by Andersen window. So ready to get started? I'm going to take a look right now at my window, and as you can see, we're going to zero this all out. So everything is zeroed out. I'm going to put it right up to the glass. Okay, it's pretty simple enough. And once that gives a second to read, I can lock in measurements. And this is what we get here. So we're going to take that now and go over to the paper. And so we can all see what we're talking about here. You see those numbers in the video there. So here's the windows that we're looking at here. So I'm going to go ahead and record these down on the page. So we have 41% UV, 74% visible light, 42% infrared, and 0.62 for a solar heat gain coefficient. And again, these are 2006 windows, so this isn't really old technology in terms of builder grade windows. This is, relatively updated technology inside this window that we're measuring here today. All right, so may not mean much, but what we're going to do now, I'm going to clear this out so you can see everything resets and zeroes back out. And now you can see the light beams flashing in here. See that? What we're going to do is we're going to measure the Renewal by Andersen window. So kind of the same thing here. I'm going to put it right up to the glass. I'm going to give it a second to measure, and I'm going to click the hold button. So here's our numbers that we got with the Renewal by Andersen window. So same thing, we're going to go up here and record these. UV, you see that in the video, UV is at 4%, visible light 63%, infrared 1%, solar heat gain coefficient 0.27. So you can see that just for verification's sake there, that we're not misrepresenting anything or writing down incorrect numbers. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to turn that off. We're going to kind of take it a step further here, and if you want to kind of focus in on this, according to EDTM, we're going to take a look at what these numbers mean. as defined by EDTM, the maker of this great technology that we're going to be using here. So the first one, ultraviolet transmission, excuse me, is the percent of ultraviolet light being transmitted through the window. UV energy is the primary cause of fading of furnishings and deterioration of fabric. So that's our U value. The visible light, as defined by EDTM, is the percent of visible light being transmitted through the window. A window that allows substantial visible light to pass through enables homes to have a naturally well-lit atmosphere. So this is a good measurement. This is the light that's coming into the house that allows you to have the beauty and the aesthetic inside the home of a well-lit atmosphere. Now this is infrared. Excuse me. So our infrared is the percent of solar energy being transmitted through the window, including ultraviolet, visible, and infrared energy or heat. Next we go on to solar heat gain coefficient, a very common measurable in most every window. Solar heat gain coefficient, according to EDTM, is the amount of heat from the sun allowed to pass through the window. The lower the SHGC value, the less of the sun's heat that can pass through the window. So as we look at these two, I certainly don't have a degree in any kind of rocket science field or anything like that, but as we look at these two, and just real quick, here's the card from EDTM that describes to us, that's what I was just reading here, that describes to us what are these measurables? Why is that important? So as we're looking at these two here, you can see dramatic reduction. We go from 41% UV to only 4% of UV light that's passing through the Renewal by Andersen window. The visible light transmittance, which is the good light, the natural light that we want coming into the home to just enhance the natural beauty of the interior, we really don't have that big of a reduction. So we're having the differences, we have all this increase in performance without a significant loss or trade-off of visible light. Now infrared, this is the big one. We have 42% infrared heat and energy light coming through the window that we looked at in the aluminum frame builder grade window. Look at this, 1% of infrared light, according to our window analyzer tool, from the Renewal by Andersen window that's coming through that glass. So this is this one, the infrared and the solar heat gain coefficient, these cause me the biggest, these are the most thought-provoking numbers here that we see, is the infrared and the solar heat gain. Now, we looked at the builder grade windows, 0.62. Renewal by Andersen window was 0.27. So these two, looking at these, again, I don't have any kind of special degree in home energy performance, but based on these two numbers, I can really assume, based on what this tool told us, I can really assume that if I'm 40% lowering the infrared light and heat that passes through my glass, I can make a pretty good assumption that my utility bill, my comfort, the amount of fading and negative effects that I have from the UV light coming into the house are going to be drastically reduced by about 40%. Taking that a step further, the solar heat gain coefficient, if I'm more than doubling my heat gain that's coming through from the exterior into the house, I can also make a pretty good assumption that my utility bill, my comfort, the equilibrium of temperature in the house from room to room or side of the house to the other side of the house, front to back, whatever the case is in your situation, I can make a pretty good assumption that if I'm reducing that by half, then I'm going to have a much more comfortable environment. I'm going to have a much less of a utility cost, and certainly much less wear and tear on my HVAC. So thank you for watching. Hope this was informative and helpful. For all the folks in San Antonio, we really are excited to come out and use this technology in your home and show you what exactly you have in your current situation and what you could potentially have by going to the Renewal by Andersen window. Thanks so much. Again, Ryan Houchin from Renewal by Andersen of San Antonio.